welcome to the Gaia update for the new moon in Aries that happens on Sunday, April 15th. I'm Adrienne Elise. So this new moon in Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. The new moon is when the sun and the moon come together. So very powerful here as the sun and the moon come together right near Uranus in Aries, which is coming to the end degrees of Aries. It's just a couple degrees away from Uranus. So we're really feeling a huge amount of Aries energy. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It represents spring, a fresh start, and energies moving in a new direction. So we've had this sun in Aries and Mercury retrograde in Aries here for a while, but we haven't really been feeling this new direction, this fresh start, because Mercury's in retrograde. So the powerful thing about this new moon in Aries on the 15th is that the Mercury's turning direct on that day. So we're going to finally be feeling this fresh new start. This is also a potent time in the Aries energy because Chiron, the wounded healer, is getting ready to move into the sign of Aries. And we're already feeling that transition. Chiron spends a disordinate amount of time in each sign because of its strange orbit, but most of the time it spends, the longest time is in Pisces and Aries. So it has an affinity to Pisces and Aries, and here we are at this powerful year, 2018, where Chiron, the wounded healer, is moving into the sign of Aries, back into Pisces later this year, and then into Aries again in February of 2019. So April is a power-packed month, and it's really intense. The same day that Chiron moves into Aries on the 17th, Saturn takes a retrograde. So it's an interesting kind of intense squeezing. This is the seed under the ground being pressurized to sprout and to grow. So go ahead and check out my video on Chiron and Aries and learn more about that, because Chiron is going to be in Aries for about 9 years. So we have a period of time ahead of us that is going to be really powerful. Now, Aries is the sign of the self. It's the identity. It's that power that it takes to incarnate. And so this shift, 2018, from Chiron in Pisces to Chiron in Aries, is really, really important because it's speaking to this. Aries has to do with the right to exist. So with all this Aries energy going on for this Aries new moon and Mercury retrograde in Aries and Chiron about to move into Aries, there's a huge energy here of our right to exist. Is it okay for us to be who we really are? This is the energy of Aries. Aries has the power. It's ruled by Mars. It's the spark of creation. It's coming into existence. All the energy it needs in that potency that's in the seed, and the energy that needs to make conception happen. This is this powerful energy. Now, the wounded healer Chiron moving into Aries is saying that it's time to kind of get over it. We need to heal our wounds. We need to, but we also need to stand up and come out of victim. So it's a super empowering year for especially the male part of ourselves. As Chiron has an association with a male energy, this wounded healer as also the shaman. And so it's time for us to stand up for our right to be who we really are and come out of our victimhood of woundedness and be willing to face the truth, first of all. Like the Chiron and Pisces would kind of like, they're wounded, they might be victimized, they might be kind of stuck in this. This is also the collective energy. It's the death cycle. It's the end of the zodiac. And so maybe not even in it rules fantasy and delusion, but maybe more. But what happens is this Pisces shift into Aries is like, whoa, we got to look at these wounds. We got to face these wounds. We got to pick ourselves up. We got to move on. We've got to stand up in our power against the oppressors of these victims. So it's a huge time of empowerment available to us with this Chiron moving into Aries, and it's about being willing to fight in that Mars energy for your right to be who you really are and fight for your right to exist. And this is so potent right now in this time on the planet where we are coming face to face with control energies and artificial intelligence agency energies that want to keep us from actualizing and claiming our spiritual right as humans to exist and to evolve spiritually. This is really what's going on, like energetically in the big picture. And so Chiron in Aries is this huge opportunity for humans to stand up and say no more, and be more empowered around this woundedness, and take back the right for us to be our unique individual selves. So this energy is coming really strong. This new moon on the 15th is talking about these energies because it's so close to Uranus in Aries. So Uranus is coming to the end of Aries. In May, it moves into Taurus, huge shift. And we'll talk more about that. And I will put out a video about Uranus moving into Taurus. But right now, we're looking at what has this last 7 years of Uranus and Aries been about. And that is, if Aries is about your right to exist, yourself, the power behind existence and creation and sprouting the new seed, Uranus is a revolutionary energy, a disruptive energy. And so it's been shaking up the foundations of our identity and who we are as humans. So the Mercury retrograde in Aries that started on March 22nd and completes on the day of this new moon is really about understanding what that Aries energy is with this Uranus, what has been going on with Uranus and Aries. And Mercury is like, we're feeling really, this Mercury retrograde is making people feel really like they don't know where they're going or what they're doing. And that's kind of a good thing, actually, because it means that we're in a place of change. We're in a place of actualizing. We're in a place of new direction. We're in a place of actualization, making things happen with all this earth energy. It's about bringing the energetic changes that we've been going through in our psyche and our collective consciousness into our physical everyday world. We're like living in this strange reality where our world does not reflect the truth of who we are in our spiritual process and what's been going on. And that's got to break down. That's a lot about what Pluto and Capricorn is about. So this Aries energy has been intense because all these planets have been squaring up with Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. And so we're kind of coming to this tension point. And is it okay? Can you come up against the man, the oppressor, and stand up for who you really are and live your life the way you were meant to live your life? Aries is about existence. It's about the spark of creation and energetically kind of like coming into form. And so it's about there's a lot of opportunity here for us to claim back passion and a feeling of really living instead of just like somehow trying to make it through all of these energies in our world that are working against our spiritual evolution and our awakening, all the poisons and all the things that have been working against us. And Pisces is like, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, just stay in the dream, stay in the delusion. And Aries is like, no, we got to wake up to this stuff. And Aries is not interested in wallowing in the wounds. So Chiron, the wounded healer, moving into Aries, is saying, get up, stand up, be who you really are, claim your right to exist and not just, to thrive, not just survive. Claim your right to really live. So it can be a really empowering time. And this new moon in Aries is starting this energy. It's instigating a new cycle. And especially with that Mercury in Aries, so we're reorienting our conceptual reality, figuring out what's really going on in our psyche with this Mercury retrograde. And this is figuring out the last 7 years of Uranus and Aries. So it's huge because most of us are kind of heading in the wrong directions according to the truth of who we really are. And if we're going to be who we really are here, if we're going to claim this Aries activation and claim this strength of self and claim back our life of passion and claim back the truth of who we are in our identity as humans, this is the Uranus and Aries is claiming our identity as spiritual beings, not as just body bags existing, living, dying, going to heaven or hell. We are here, we live life after life. No part of us ever dies except for the false parts of who we are. And Aries says, break that stuff down, and be who you really are and stop conforming to this reality for survival. because it's kind of like it's time to thrive. And the survival energy of this kind of martyred, like, well, we're just oppressed victims and this is just how the world is. And actually, I'd rather just go along with my everyday life and pretend that I'm not an oppressed victim and not look at the reality. I'll just say, oh, it's okay. Powers that be can take care of it, And it's like the powers that be have been like totally messing with us. And it's like we have so much more power within us. And so this is this Aries activation. And so we haven't been able to really get our teeth into this Aries energy because of this Mercury retrograde, but it's been super profound because we're rearranging our reality and who we thought we were, our identity, according to this Uranus in Aries, and kind of coming out of the haze, the stupor of Chiron in Pisces, and being ready to like really move forward in a new way. So in a way, this Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. And so this Aries new moon is really the beginning of 2018, like for real. And of course, then we have Saturn going retrograde. And it's going to feel, so with this Capricorn energy, we've been feeling so much of it in this last week or two of this Aries squaring up with Capricorn. And like, yes, I want to be who I am. I want to live my life. I want to claim back my passion. But the man is in the way and I have to survive. I have to make more money and I have to do what this world says I have to do. And I have to be who this world says I have to be. And so this is the struggle going on right now in our psyche. And this pressure, though, we got to look to the bigger picture and understand that this pressure, no matter how oppressive and how messed up and how uncool and how just like not sensitive and sweet like humanity really is, it's like that's all happening for us to come into who we really are. Just imagine the pressure that the seed feels before it sprouts, and that's where we're at right now. The seeds are ready to sprout, so everything that's happening is pushing us. It feels like it's working against us with that man energy and authority and like, no, you can't. But it's actually pushing us to sprout and pushing us to thrive. Aries, if they're wounded, they just get up and keep going. And so there's an energy of like, I'm going to use this wound to my advantage and I'm going to let this empower me. So can we let the oppression of our time empower us into change, empower us into sprouting, empower us? Because there's a bunch of seeds on the planet. I mean, we're talking crystal seeds, indigo, powerful souls that are just have their head down, trying to figure out how to exist, no permission within their being to be who they really are. And Aries is like, I'm going to be who I really am. It's about me. And it's ironically, it's like in order to get to this world of compassion that we know is the truth of who we really are as humans and our evolution, we have to first stand up for ourselves and take care of ourselves, and this is kind of an interesting energy with Chiron moving into Aries because, there's this energy that go through. If anybody's ever been on a healing path for themselves or you want to be a healer in the world, you understand you got to heal yourself first. You can't be available to help other people until you're more whole and complete. And this is what Aries is about. It's about putting back the pieces of ourselves, clearing away the false identities of this world, of what we've conformed into, and putting back the true pieces and coming back whole and complete. And so we have to stand up for our own right to be who we really are, to have our needs met in this world in order to be a healing force out there in the world. We have to be willing to take back all the pieces of ourselves. And this is an interesting thing that came forward in a session recently where there was this energy of the indigo souls in particular really have this energy of like wanting to help, like I need to help, like I'm here to serve, I'm here to like help the planet. Like the only reason I went through all of this lifetimes of torture and pain and suffering is to be a part of this spiritual evolution, to bring the light to the planet. And yet they have this huge set of gifts that they've been programmed on past lives, and they're scared of it. They've been programmed to think that they can't handle their power, or their power's dangerous, or there's going to be violence involved. And the truth of the indigo soul and the crystal seeds is that they're like completely nonviolent. And so this energy is like, but how can we be the warrior, a nonviolent warrior? because we do need to stand up for ourselves, and we do need to break the chains of oppression. But it's interesting because these souls are like, I want to help, I want to help, I want to help. But then here's your set of gifts that you worked for lifetimes to work with. And they're like, oh, no, don't anything but that, So we have a fear of our own power. And this is what this Chiron in Aries is offering us. The shift of ages going on right now is saying, take back your power. You're more powerful than all of this perceived oppression. You are the only person that can really get in your own way. And this is really hard to understand from the Pisces point of view, because it's like, no, I'm oppressed, I'm held down. It's clear, it's like all these things in our world are trying to work against me, and then it's like, yeah, and why? Why? Because it's pressuring you, pushing you into this place of growth and expansion and claiming your right to exist and be who you really are. And so here we go. We're stepping into a new era, and it's an era of empowerment, but it's an era of the salt in the wound. We got to look at the wounds first. We got to come out of the delusion that everything's okay, right? And you can see this in abusive situations where people are just kind of like, they'll make excuses for their abuser. And this is what we've been doing collectively to these powers, and they are so overt. You can go on the internet and find all the research and all the proof that we are being lied to and oppressed and just like poisoned and surveilled and controlled, and just on massive levels. But you know what? It's like, until we as sheeple can stand up for our right to exist as true humans and throw off these chains, then they get to keep doing it. It's like the laws of the universe say, hey, they're showing us in plain sight that they're completely oppressing us, and we're just putting our blinders on and putting our head in the sand and just agreeing to it, and we have no choice. It's just the way the world is. And it's just like, no, the world is not that way. And there's some massive changes coming, and we got to be ready for this. And this is this change in our identity, what this Uranus and Aries has been about. So it's kind of a long, involved story of this Aries new moon, but we are at a massive turning point in humanity. And with Mercury turning direct and Uranus still in Aries, and all this kind of understanding, because Mercury is our day-to-day understanding, information around our conceptual reality, and Uranus is out there information from beyond the veil. This intuitive insights flashes, like what we need to really understand to change our conceptual reality. So the sun and the moon on this new moon are right next to Uranus, and Chiron is getting ready to move into Aries, and Mercury is going direct in Aries. So it's like, whoa, there's some, and we've still got, luckily, what's helping this is that Jupiter is retrograde in Scorpio, so we're having to face the shadow. We're having to face these distortions and these sicknesses that we, are in our ancestry and our conditioning of past lives, and the collective consciousness of just like, we're like, yeah, it's okay. We'll just agree to the fact that we're just like dirty old shameful humans, and it's like, no, so many souls on the planet right now are like highly evolved light worker souls that have gone through many, many evolutions. And it's time for those seeds to sprout and claim this Aries energy, and claim your passion, and claim your true path, and claim your right to exist. This is a big story for star seeds and indigos and crystals. It's like being killed in past lives for who you are. It's not a lot of times for what you did. Maybe you expressed your truth or something, but a lot of times these people were killed just for existing. And so it's like, is it okay? Oh, you guys, and powers that be, the control energies, lower dimensional energies than where you came from as a soul. We've all given our power over to this, and they decide whether we get to live or die. They get to decide whether we get to be who we really are. They decide whether we get to express ourselves. And you can see this in massive censorship and control energies through technology right now. And so we're just being faced with these truths. And so when this Mercury goes direct, some truths can come forward in our lives, some true understanding, because the sun and the moon together with Uranus bringing that insight, this disruptive information. But it's good, it's powerful. We need to kind of break it up a little bit. We need to get, think about you know, how we'll like cement sidewalks and we're just like our world and we're going to just pave it over and it'll be nice. And then the tree roots grow and they just like, you know, way more powerful than the concrete. And this is kind of a metaphor for what's going on right now. Our spiritual growth, humanity, is way more powerful. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But it's coming up against concrete. And that takes a lot of life force to kind of overcome the concrete jungle, you know? And so this is what's going on with this Chiron move into Aries. So information's coming in for our life to understand. And it's like there's just an uncomfortable place right now in this, the end of this Mercury retrograde and coming into direct, because it's kind of like, I'm so lost. Who am I? You know, Mercury retrograde in Aries is an identity crisis. And we've been having 7 years of identity crisis with Uranus in Aries, but this is good because we can let go of all of the conditioning, of all of the stories that told us who we are and who we get to be. Because Aries is like, no, I'm going to be myself. And their whole fight, Aries is a fight to exist and be who they really are. And that's exactly what humanity needs to do. It's kind of, we're just at this place. So this new moon is speaking to everything about this massive shift of ages. So I hope you can join me for the live activation. I'm going to do this on the day of that new moon at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That'll be 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. in Eastern Time. So I hope you can join me for the live activation. What we do is we talk through the energies, create a sacred space and a room for us on the astral plane to do this beautiful work. And then we'll have a guided meditation, just taking a minute, some time to come into these energies that are happening and receive the information and reset and recalibrate this shift that's going on. With the deal with Pluto in Aries, in Capricorn, is that it's about a breakdown of the structures of our reality. So what this is all about is like our outer world becoming more representative of our true inner nature, if we can claim that for ourselves. We're at a turning point, you know, in humanity. If we can claim that we're, you know, humans as incarnated consciousness, free from control energies, are more powerful than all of that control energy that's working against us. And so this energy is really just massively amplified as this, because Aries squares Capricorn. And so it's like that structures, authority, energy systems that aren't working, and Aries is saying we got to do it a new way. You know, we've got to come in with a new impulse. We've got to be who we really are, permission to be who we really are. So what's helping all of this along is that Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio, like having to face the shadow, but that's good because we got to pull our head out of the sand and we've got to face reality, you know, and so but that's in this beautiful exact sextile during this new moon. A beautiful sextile between Jupiter and Pluto. Now, sextiles are about creative solutions, micro adjustments to be able to get the job done. So Jupiter's saying, look at the shadow, face some reality, clear it out, and bring expansion and light and luck to it, and then adjust the reality, right? But with this Mercury turning direct during this time, we're getting like, and Uranus, Sun and the Moon with Uranus, it's like massive flashes of insight about who we really are, what we really want, and how to move forward on our path. So a lot of people are feeling uncomfortable in this Mercury retrograde, like they're not able to move forward at all, like, and it's not just daily action. It's like, because we're not being true to who we really are, and our life is trying to adjust, and there's just massive tension around that, and it all goes back to that Pluto-Uranus square that's been going on since 2011. So wow, we're feeling it, and that's it's been since 2010 that Chiron has been in Pisces. So this is kind of an era where we're shifting gears. And it's super potent and super powerful. So I hope you can join me for the live activation where we can tap into this energy. If you can't make the live activation, it's live still on the replay. If your intention is to join, then your questions are going to get answered. I channel this information. It's why it's just jointed sometimes, because there's kind of energies coming in about what people need to hear in the audience. And so that information, that energy is going to be available for you even on the replay. So I hope you have a wonderful Aries new moon, and good luck with with this new season. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps, heal, put the salt in the wound, face the wound so the wound can heal. And so we can move on, right? Let's get on with it. And so I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.